Hi, I wanted to go ahead and put up a little PowerPoint slide. It's not much of a PowerPoint, but a little PowerPoint slide to show you how to calculate your own class average. About 75% of you, give or take, did not do that correctly on the class survey, which told me that I probably need to show you how that is done. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm showing you. And this is the exact question, the exact uh, problem that I gave you on your survey for the bonus points, the extra bonus points. You got full credit just by answering it, but I gave you extra bonus points if you got it right. About 25% of you did get two additional points for doing that. But let me go ahead and show you how to calculate that. First thing that's important is that you know what the rules are, and this is in the syllabus. We know we've got a 90% 10-point grading scale. 90% is an A, 80% is a B, 70% is a C. We understand that. We've got that. But here are the rules that are very important in how to calculate your grade. The first is if you miss an exam, you get a zero. I think you know that, but if you don't know that, it shows up generally on your Canvas. Canvas is hit or miss sometimes with it. Partially my fault, partially its fault. But if you miss an exam, you receive a zero for that exam. Second rule that's very important, and this is my way of helping you. Up to two zeros can be replaced with whatever percentage grade you receive on the final exam. Now, a couple of students messed that up because I think on the example I gave, the student made 95% on the final, but it was shown as 190 out of 200. Well, they gave the two zero grades each 190 points. Guys, that'd be nice if you could do that, but you can't do that. That's giving you quadruple credit for. You can't do it that way. You've got to put the percentage grade, the average that you received on the final. If you make 190 out of 200, that's a 95%. That's 95 average that you received on the final. That's what you're going to substitute for the two zeros that you, or however many up to two, one or two. That's the second rule. The third rule is that you take the 8 highest weekly exam grades and add up any bonus questions that you have, bonus points that you've earned during the semester, and then you add your final exam grade. Your final exam cannot be dropped, it must count. So you take all of that and you divide by 1,000, boom, there you go. Or another way to look at it is if you have 900 points after you finish the addition, you don't even have to divide. You've got an A. If you've got 800 points but less than 900, you've got a B. If you've got 700 points but less than 800, you've got a C. Got 600 but less than 700, you've got a D. If you got less than 600, then you fail the class. So you don't even have to reach the division, but if you want to figure out what your percentage grade is, you can by dividing it by 1,000. When I say take 8 highest weekly exam grades, it's the same thing as dropping your 2 lowest grades. Now, somehow students got confused also with that dropping your 2 lowest grades and the zeros. They were dropping the zeros for missed exams. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all. Instead, you get a grade for those missed exams based on whatever you make on the final exam. Now that it might end up being 2 of your lowest grades. I don't know, but and you don't know until you take your final exam. But you don't have to drop those zeros unless you have more than two. If you have more than two, then that's going to be one of your zero grades. Okay, now that we know what the rules are, which and these are on the syllabus, it's stated on the syllabus. Let's look at the example that I actually put on your survey question. Um, why it's doing that? Why is it? Okay, there we go. Contract breach and remedies. That doesn't hurt. You'll probably be seeing that December 1 on the the next Zoom session that we have. But the example, student had the following 10 grades. On exam one, they made an 80, exam two an 80, exam three a 70, exam four a 60, exam five a 50, exam six they missed. They got a zero. Exam seven they missed. They had a zero. They had a bad stretch, exams four through seven. Exam eight, they bounced back, rededicated themselves to the class. They made a 90, exam nine and 90, exam 10 and 90. On the final exam, they knocked it out of the park. They made 190 out of 200, 95%. They also earned 20 bonus points during the semester. I'm hoping that you earn more than that. I'm going to give you more chances. But in this example, that's the facts. You've got 10 weekly exam grades, two of them are zeros, and you've got a final exam grade and you've got bonus points. So let's do the calculation. Step one, let's replace those two zero grades with 95s. Good deal. Man, that was great. Your final exam really did you well. You got two 95 grades instead of two zeros. Step two, now that we've done that, we take the 8 highest grades, which is the same thing as dropping the 2 lowest grades, and all other grades count, just the 8 highest grades after we drop the 2 lowest grades. The 2 lowest grades are a 50 and a 60, not a 0 and a 0. The 0 and the 0 are gone. They're both 95s now. They're both gone. Step three, let's add. You can use a calculator. I highly recommend it. You add 80, exam one, 80, exam two, 70, exam three. You don't do exam four. Why? Because it's one of the 2 lowest grades. You don't do exam five. Why? Because it's one of the 2 lowest grades. Exam six, 95, not a 0. Exam seven, 95, not a 0. Exam 8, 90, exam 9, 90, exam 10, 90. You add the 20 bonus points and you add the 190 points that they earned on the final exam. You add all that up and you have 900 points. Now, you should know already 900 points gives you an A, but if you want to divide it, you can't. Divide 900 by 1,000, not by 1,020, not by 1,200. I had students do both of those things on the calculations. You divide it by 1,000. You got 8 exams that count and the final exam that counts. Bonuses never count in the denominator. They're only in the numerator. Going back to middle school math. I know this isn't a math class. Some of you are like, I don't want to deal with math. Well, sometimes it's necessary. Bonuses only add to the top part. They don't add to the bottom part. You don't have to do that. That would lower your score potentially. We don't do that. So that's how you do it. You should know that when you add all that up, if you've got 900 points, you've got an A. Now look at, just interestingly, look at it. We've got 10 grades for this student. The highest grade they ever made on a weekly exam was a 90. They missed 2 exams. They made a 50 on an exam. They made a 60 on an exam. They made a 70 on an exam. And they ended up with an A in the class. An A. I had students that told me this student received a D in the class when they calculated it. So I think some of you are in better shape than you think you are. And that's really the purpose for this. Some of you are freaked out because you missed your first exam and you got a 0 and you didn't understand why you couldn't get a makeup exam. When I'm not hurting you because you've got the chance to do well. Now, listen, you get a 80 out of 200, 40% on the final exam. Well, it's not going to help you very much. But hopefully that won't be the case. You'll study hard for the final exam, and you'll do well on the final exam, and it will help you. But again, I received all kind of things So nobody said they failed, but I did have people that said they made a D on the exam, and a bunch that said C, and a bunch that said B. I wanted the number. I wanted y'all to tell me that they had 900 points or had 90%, but I accepted, A grades. If you figured out that they received an A, I accepted that as well. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and you should be able to calculate it based upon this example, your own grades. Obviously, if you missed an exam during the semester, you're not going to be able to calculate your grade for the semester until after the final exam. You can't even tell where you are right now, but you can guess. You can say, well, what happens if I make a 160 out of 200, 80%? Okay, well, if you miss two exams like this student did, you take that 80% and you give your exam 6th grade in 80 and your exam 7th grade in 80, and then you can calculate your own average, your what if average. So you should be able to do it based upon this example. If you have questions about it, let me know, but hopefully that will take care of it. Thanks, guys.